Every inventor believes their idea will change the world, and most never find out if wrong. A small number built something that worked and stood right in front of it. These are 6 true stories about inventors who never got to see what came next. A tailor convinced a coat could replace a parachute and decided he was the man to prove it. A submarine captain went down with his own invention twice and returned anyway for a 3rd try. Let's begin with the man who jumped off a famous landmark to prove his invention could fly. Paris, 1912. Aviation is young, and pilots are dying in falls from damaged aircraft. A tailor named Franz Reichelt becomes convinced he's found the answer in his own workshop. His design is a wearable suit, part overcoat, part folded glider wing, meant to slow a fall. Before risking himself, he tests early version by dropping weighted dummies from his window. The results are inconsistent, but Reichelt decides the problem isn't the suit, it's the height. He asks permission to test his invention from the Eiffel Tower, saying he'll only drop a dummy. A small crowd gathers below on test morning, along with journalists who heard rumors. Instead of releasing a dummy, Reichelt climbs over the railing and steps onto a small stool at the edge. He pauses for what witnesses describe as a long, uncertain moment before stepping into open air. The suit fails to catch the air, and Reichelt falls the full height of the tower in front of everyone. Decades earlier, the newspaper industry is limited by slow, manually fed presses. William Bullock designs a rotary press that feeds itself from a massive paper roll. The invention roughly quadruples printing speed, and papers rush to install Bullock's machine. Bullock becomes wealthy almost overnight, his machines spreading to press rooms everywhere. While inspecting a jammed press, Bullock reaches directly into the moving machinery to clear it himself. His leg becomes caught in the press, resulting in a severe crushing injury that quickly turns dangerous. Within days, the wound develops gangrene, and Bullock's condition rapidly worsens. He undergoes an operation to save his life, but doesn't survive it, dying days after the accident. The man whose invention sped up the news was gone within a week of the accident that caused it. During the Civil War, naval blockades strangle supply lines, and inventors race to break them. Horace Hunley funds an early hand-cranked submarine meant to slip beneath enemy ships undetected. The vessel is powered by its crew, turning a hand crank, a grueling way to move underwater. During its first test dive, the submarine sinks, killing several crew members in the confined space. It is recovered and repaired, only to sink again on a second dive, killing yet another crew. Rather than abandon the project, Hunley insists on commanding the submarine's 3rd test dive himself. He climbs inside with a new crew, sealing the hatch as the vessel prepares to submerge once more. The submarine descends and, just like before, fails to resurface, taking Hunley down with it. Investigators recover the vessel from the seafloor, finding the crew still at their post. Remarkably, the submarine is raised, repaired, and renamed in Hunley's honor before returning to service. It becomes the first submarine to sink an enemy warship before vanishing on its return voyage. In 1920s Austria, rocket propulsion is an exciting frontier for engineers eager to push further. Max Valier becomes obsessed with strapping rocket engines to as many vehicles as possible. He experiments with rocket cars, sleds, and even aircraft, documenting each attempt. Many of these early tests end in failure, with vehicles skidding off course or engines malfunctioning. Valier treats every setback as data, refining his designs and pushing forward after each incident. In 1930, while testing a new liquid propellant mixture on his workbench, something goes wrong during ignition. The engine detonates unexpectedly, sending debris and shrapnel across the workshop. Valier is struck and killed almost instantly, one of rocketry's first liquid fuel fatalities. His death becomes a grim milestone, shaping safety practices for generations of engineers. Decades before the motorcycle exists, Sylvester Roper builds steam-powered machines from scratch. His design fits a small steam engine and boiler directly onto a bicycle frame, an idea far ahead of its. The machine is loud and unpredictable, but it genuinely works and can reach surprising speed. In 1896, Roper brings an improved velocipede to a track for a public demonstration. He is nearly 70 years old, but shows no hesitation pushing the machine to its limit itself. Witnesses recall he rode faster and harder than expected, drawing gasps from the crowd in the stand. Partway through the demonstration, onlookers notice the bike beginning to wobble unsteadily beneath him. Moments later, Roper collapses, and the riderless machine skids to a stop on its own along the track. Historians still debate whether a heart attack or equipment failure caused the crash that ended his ride. The man credited with building an early motorcycle did not survive riding his own creation. In the early 1970s, the dream of a practical flying car seems within reach for a small team. Henry Smolinski designs a system attaching a detachable wing and tail kit onto a compact car. He names it the Ave Mizar, marketing it as a car you could drive to any airport and fly away in. The concept is simple. Drive to the airfield, attach the components, and take off. In early demonstrations, the idea captures public imagination and attracts investor interest. During flight tests, the connection between the car, body, and wing assembly proves less reliable than hoped. During one such test, a critical wing strut failed while the vehicle is still airborne. The vehicle goes down before it can return safely to the runway, and Smolinski does not survive the crash. The flying car project, and much of the dream that inspired it, effectively ends with him. Thomas Midgley Jr. is already one of the century's most consequential inventors by now. He is best known, and later criticized, for two inventions that caused long-term harm. One of these was leaded gasoline, meant to fix engine knocking, but later linked to lead exposure. The other was a class of chemical refrigerants later found to seriously damage the Earth's ozone. Later in life, Midgley contracts polio, leaving him with significant disability and limited mobility. True to form, he responds to the problem the way he always had, by engineering a mechanical solution himself. He designs a system of ropes and pulleys attached to his bed, meant to help lift and reposition him. For a period of time, the system works reasonably well and gives him a measure of independence. One day, however, the ropes become tangled around him in a way the design never accounted for. The very device he built to give himself more freedom ends up costing him his life. The man who engineered so much convenience was undone by an invention meant to help him. 6 different inventors, working in 6 completely different fields, all ended up facing the same final test. None of them set out that intending to die for their work. What they set out to do was prove their idea actually worked in front of witness once and for all. A tailor believed in a coat enough to jump off a tower wearing it. A printer believed in his press enough to reach directly into it while it was still running. A submariner believed in his vessel enough to climb back inside after it killed 2 crews. A rocket engineer believed in his fuel mixture enough to test it standing right beside the engine. A writer believed in his machine enough to push it harder than ever at nearly 70 years old. An engineer believed in his flying car enough to fly it himself before it was ever proven safe. Every one of them chose, at some point, to be the one who went first. Most failed inventions disappear quietly, forgotten on paper in a drawer or a patent. These 6 failures did not happen quietly at all. They happened in full view of the public, with witnesses left to describe exactly what they saw. And in every single case, the inventor was still right there, inside the invention when it happened. That's the strange, uncomfortable thread connecting all 6 of these stories together. It isn't recklessness exactly that defines them, even though it might look that way from a distance. It's something closer to conviction, the kind that convinces someone their invention deserves a test. Some of that conviction was rewarded with real progress that outlived the person who paid for it. Submarines, presses, motorcycles, and rockets all eventually became safe, everyday technology. The people who tested the earliest, most dangerous versions rarely saw that outcome themselves. Their names are mostly footnotes tucked into the history of inventions that eventually worked. But every one of those inventions carries a trace of the person who risked everything testing it first. That's worth remembering the next time something built by hand seems too simple to be dangerous. 6 inventors, 6 inventions, 6 moments where belief and risk became the exact same thing. And that's a price history doesn't always remember to pay back.